Hello everyone and welcome back to our little settlement. Dan and Boy are currently away on a caravan trip to get us some more food, and Sergeant and Duck are having some well-deserved alone time as a couple. Dan and Boy are almost to their destination, they're right here, so we're just gonna trade with them. We're trying to get some more food because we're almost out of food, so we're just gonna buy some more food from here. They don't have as much vegetarian food as I would like. I don't like buying a lot of meat right now just because we don't have a fridge set up yet, and the vegetarian stuff will stay good longer. I believe we also don't have pemmican or survival meals researched, so that's also something we need to start working on. We do need some way to preserve food, and honestly, I'm surprised I've waited this long. Shouldn't a fridge be more important? Actually, no, I think we're doing alright, because the way we have it set up is that we sort of have a constant supply of food, so as long as we keep growing more new food, and it's mostly rice and stuff like that, we don't need to worry too much about it decaying. So I think we can wait a little bit on the fridge, just because the components in the steel that go into the coolers are going to be expensive, and I kind of want to finish the wall first. So that's today's goal, is we're going to finish the wall around our settlement. We are going to attach a kill box to that wall, but that's going to be for a separate episode, because kill boxes do tend to be very dense with a lot of components, such as spike traps and sandbags. And that's going to take quite a while, so I feel like trying to do the kill box and the wall in this session will just be a bit too much work. And in the meantime, we're actually going to get our sort of fridge, kitchen, and food storage building set up, mono building set up. So that room up there with the double walls, that's going to be our refrigerator. The two rooms split up below it are going to be the butcher room and the kitchen, respectively. And then the really big room off to the side is going to be the rec room. And then the other room down below will be our survival meal storage, because survival meals don't rot. So we can store a lot of those and we don't have to refrigerate them. Which means that we can have less coolers, because we don't need to do as much refrigeration, and our food storage will be safe if we encounter some sort of long-term power outage. And over here we're going to set up ice for a lab. Alright, we're doing good. We finished beer brewing. That's awesome. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do packaged survival meals, because we do need to get on food preservation. And I'm not totally committed to this city planning up here. This is going to change later. Eventually I'm just going to leave that spot above the lab blank, so we can just put something there later. So over here, this is roughly what the kill box is going to look like. We're going to have a gap up there. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to kind of have a space for a prison that juts out a bit, and then the kill box is going to go below it. So it's going to be a little bit complicated, and also we're going to have our kill box be a spike drop tunnel, and then eventually in that sort of arena at the end that we're going to set up, we're going to put some turrets. Just because I don't want to put our colonists in the line of fire too much. And we're going to cut this in half, because this is just way too many. Our kill box doesn't need to be that big, so we're just going to cut it in half and then set aside some of that space as space for a prison. Because, well, a prison / a hospital, because once we get to bigger raids and bigger threats, our colonists are going to be getting injured. But we are going to want to minimize that, and that's why we're going to be building this wall. Because if we can keep our enemies, if we could restrict the way our enemies can get into our stuff, then we'll be good. That will be very good. Yeah, so Sergeant and Dan one's working on the wall right now just because they have the construction skill. I could have everyone working on the wall, but we also need other things to get done. And it's just, I feel like it would just be quicker to just let Sergeant and Dan do it since they have the skill, rather than have them be waiting on people with less skill. Alright, they're raiding and they're sending one person. Alright, so that's not going to be too much of a problem. I'm just sweeping the edge of the map, making sure there aren't any more. I kind of always do that when there's just one person raids. Okay, how is she? She's a slow learner and a creepy breather. It's gonna be a no from me. We don't want to keep her. She does have good plants, though. But I don't think we want to keep her because she's creepy breathing and that's gonna make people not like her. What we might do is we might capture her and nurture her back to health and then release her for the friendship points with her faction. Yeah, because if people don't die in your raids, you can capture them and tend to them, and then if you release them, you get, a boost from their colony. And if we do that, and we research the drop pods, and we start dropping goods on them, we might be able to turn a couple of enemies into allies. Which would be great because then we can turn them into trade partners. Alright, and she's downed and we're going to capture her and then eventually release her. So this is going to be a thing that I'm just going to continue to do with some raiders, is I'm going to capture them and then eventually release them. So that we can get the points from their faction. So we're going to have Boy capture her, and then we're going to have Dan tend to her because he's our doctor. He's our good doctor, and we don't want someone messing this up. Actually, we could use this as sort of a training ground for our new doctors. But maybe that's a later problem. Maybe that's something we do when we've got, our prison set up. Alright, and now, Dan, go tend to her. Alright, good job. Alright, Dan and Sergeant did get a little bit hurt, but it doesn't look like either of them got hurt too badly. So that's good. So we're just going to have them tend to her, and then we'll release her once she's able to. Alright, speaking of Sergeant, he's dying of the flu. I'm not optimistic. He always seems to be, 1 point behind the flu, so we're going to build him a sarcophagus. We're also building a sarcophagus over here for Dan's granddaughter that died, because her grave is blocking the road. So we're just going to build one right next to her for Sergeant and just make part of the rec room a tomb. And Sergeant is fine. Okay, stop building a sarcophagus. It's kind of rude to build sarcophagi for people who are living. So we are just going to dig her up and move her body. This isn't grave robbing, this is reinterment. Alright. And now go re-bury her. Alright. Alright, what's the art on her sarcophagus? The sarcophagus is engraved with a depiction of Duck who's visiting her grave. Oh, that's adorable! In other news, more wall. Always more wall. So much more wall. And we're gonna catch up the bottom wall with the top wall. Alright, good job everybody. And we're going to use some marble bricks to set out our blueprint for our rec room and food storage facility. It's really efficient to make these two either really close or the same building, because then people can eat in the rec room, and then there's that socialization bonus. Oh, Wanderer joins. Man Bear. Okay, that's a cool name. That's a really cool name. We should take him. Artistic, level 13, that's decent. It's not super useful right now, but it'll be useful later. He looks exactly like a man bear. Super immune, quick sea leaper, abrasive. Okay, abrasive isn't great, but that's pretty good. Yeah, we're keeping him. Welcome to the colony, man bear. You look exactly like a man bear. Okay, he's 56 and has a bad back, so... But welcome in! It doesn't look like he has a lot of skills besides artistic and researching. So I think we're just gonna have him research, and he can just do that for us. Okay, he can grow stuff. That's good. That's good. It's good that he can grow stuff. Yeah, so Man Bear's just going to do our researching for us. He's going to contribute to the colony that way. He's also going to help with planting, but that's not going to be a tremendous amount of labor because we're growing potatoes and corn right now, which are both crops that take a decent amount of time to grow. Alright, and we've finished packaged survival meals. So what we're going to do next is mortars, because I remember last time when I was doing something like this, when I finished the wall, we got a mechanol-like thing, and that didn't do great for us, so I want some way to take care of that. And we have toxic fallout. Okay, that's not great, but I don't think it should be too big of a problem. I think our crops are going to die, so I'm just going to have them not worry about the crops right now. All the animals are getting toxic buildup, and all of our colonists are getting toxic buildup as well, but it doesn't look like it's too bad. We're just probably going to want to lock them all inside at some point just so they recover. Okay, so Dan is at minor, which is like 30%, so we're going to do that toxic fallout quarantine. What we're going to do is we're going to lock everyone in this central building here, where all the food is. And we're just going to not let them come out until they've sort of recovered from their toxic buildup. Everyone's going to be bored, everyone's going to be unproductive, and a Megasloth is self-tamed. So, yeah, everyone is locked in this building, except for right now, we're being raided again. Alright, everyone draft up, we gotta go take care of this raid. There's 2 of them this time. Alright. So, yeah. Alright, I think we can give it a minute. I don't think they're attacking right away, so I think we're just going to wait until they attack, and we're just going to stay inside. Alright, Sergeant's down to 12%. Alright, so we're going to unblock the walls, and we're going to let them out now. I think that's enough for now. If the toxic buildup goes on for a while, we might have to unlock them all in the research room again. And ideally that won't stay our research room. We're going to build another one with the proper sterile tiles that'll boost research. Okay, here they come. Alright, they also have ranged weaponry. Alright, but they're not very good with it. Alright, everyone, go get her. Or him. Go get him. Alright, shooters, move closer. Support your melee people. Alright. Usually they flee when you eliminate 50% of the raid, so we really only have to get 1. So, yeah. And it looks like she's still alive. And she's trying to crawl away. Can we rescue her? Okay, it's a he. Can we rescue him and send him back? Okay, it does look like we might be able to do that, so we're going to do that. We're going to rescue him, and then nurse him back to health, and then eventually release him. Alright, so things are more or less back to normal. We're just recovering from the raid. Boy and Man Bear got injured, and Nitro is, of course, injured because we defeated them in a raid. So everyone's just chilling, and the toxic fallout has settled. Wonderful. So now we can start working. Wonderful. So now we can start working on the wall again, and we can start planting crops again and all that. Looks like it didn't hit too hard into our food supply, so we should be good to stay back on corn and potatoes. But if it had affected our food supply severely, I would have switched those grow zones over to rice. Just because rice takes a lot less time to grow, so if you want to grow rice, and you want to sort of slowly store up enough rice to get a food storage long enough that you can wait for the time that corn takes to grow. And we finished mortar, so we're going to go back over here and start researching some of the lower stuff. we're going to research... Oh, this is a tough decision. There's a lot of good stuff to research. Carpet making. We're going to research carpet making because I want to put carpet rooms over here. I'm not going to put carpet in the workrooms like the forge, or the smithy, I suppose it's called. Oh, cold snap. A cold snap? We just got off a toxic fallout. Our crops haven't grown. Okay, so when this is all over, we are going to have to switch it back to rice. And that's going to be a bit of a problem because rice has a lower yield than corn. So it is going to take us a while to build back up to our current food storage. But we researched packaged survival meals, so we should be able to get it in a way that it preserves it for a while, and then we can also use meat to make packaged survival meals. So what we can do is hunt and build up a food storage that way, so that eventually we are able to get the food storage set up so that we can switch back to corn. And, of course, naturally the complete end goal is for us to have some animals, and for us to be able to switch one of our human food grow zones into hay for the animals, so that we can take and eat and use it to make kibble, which will turn into meat, and the meat will turn into packaged survival meals. Alright, carpet making's finished. Wonderful. We are going to research... What should we research next? Let's research drug production. Or psychoid. Yeah, that's going to be useful. We do eventually want to start producing penicillin for our colonists to take regularly so that they can stop scaring me by almost dying of the flu. I've mostly been ignoring quests just because we aren't very well equipped. But once we get the wall and the other stuff taken care of, we are going to want to set up sort of a military-industrial complex. And we're going to want to sort of set aside a few colonists to essentially and start going on quests. So we've finished pretty much all of the wall except for this little corner here. So we're just going to start working on this little corner. Yeah, we're making really good time. And we're making really good time both on the wall and on the research. Now, I don't think Dan wants to go back to space because that's where he came from and he was very dissatisfied with that life. But I think a lot of the other colonists, we hear his stories about coming from there and what goes on there, and I think they're somewhat intrigued. So, who really knows where that'll go? If we do eventually go to space, be either long gone or he will just stay here with maybe a few friends and he'll continue to live in this town and trade with these people, and this is Dan's new home. So, yeah. I don't think Dan will be coming with us to space once we finish the research. I don't think he wants to. But I do think Sergeant and Duck would love to have that life. I feel like they'd love to raise a family in, like, one of these glitter worlds where Dan came from. I think that sounds great to them. So, yeah, we're finished with the basic structure of the wall and with psychoid refining, so we're gonna shift into wake-up production. So, yeah, we're almost done with the wall, and we've set out the sort of blueprints for the kill box and the trap tunnel, but they're all forbidden right now, just because we don't have time for that right now. That's a next episode problem. But what this setup will do is it'll let us handle, like, really big raids. So that'll be fun. Alright, wake-up production is done. Time for go juice. Actually, penicillin. We'll do go juice after. So yeah, we're flying through this research thanks to Man-Bear. Man-Bear is great. Yeah. Alright, and we've gathered lots of rocks so we can keep building this wall. We've done great work today. Thank you all for tuning in and continuing to support this series. Thank you. I know it sounds a little cringy, but if you like and subscribe, I can keep doing this. And we can, like, I'm definitely gonna finish Dan's story, but, like, if y'all like this, I can keep going. I can do, like, this is just vanilla, but I can do just ideology, I can do just biotech. It's great, so yeah. Like and